Well, I'm going to document this moment for myself. It's Friday the 16th. Woke up at the south end of Nautla. We're by the coast now, not in the mountains. First day post-magic. And I filled up a gallon of water at the Pemex. Cracked the code on where to get water. Every Pemex station, I bet, has it. They have a little hose out by the pump, so that's where to get water. And I've got essentially no money. In my wallet, I have a 50 peso note, and that's about it. 50 pesos to last 13, 14, 15 days. Not much. With a little luck, you'd get 3 cokes. Got some chips. Broken down. Car dies whenever it gets hot. When it gets hot, the gas won't get to the motor. So there's something, I think it is a fuel pump. But it started in Nautla when it was cold. And when I had gone for a walk in Barra, some town that I documented, where they were in the middle of having a festival for the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And I didn't have enough Spanish to find out if it was past. They kept agreeing that it was past, but actually the first night was over. And they were doing cleanup from the Thursday night, but it was going to go tonight and tomorrow. And I knew I didn't want to do that. So by the time I got back up to the road, the car started again. And I drove 10 miles, max 10 miles. And once again, it stalled, and I managed once again to find a spot off to the side of the road. And I've been here for, I don't know how long, 8:14, probably half hour. And dozed a little, I guess. Listened to a bird up on the wire a little. That was nice. Had a mango. I sat here and ate a mango. Got out my fish filleting knife that was sold to me on Padre Island down at Dick's Pier, by Kat, who was hot. Had moved down here from Wyoming to leave her husband. I think brought a couple kids. And I thought she was very, very cute, but she turned out to be super Christian. And we even went to her Christian church just to check it out. Oh, and there was a guy, kind of a gruff old guy, who was an ex-cop, who was her buddy, who gave me $25. And oh yeah, so that turned out to be a good church for us. That's the church where we got food 2 or 3 times. Really terrible, boring food, but we went there 2 or 3 times. And I met a woman there who I thought was hot, but never saw again. But that was on Padre Island, which was really good for us. Got to know the beaches really well. And knew that island pretty well by the time we left. We loved our beach. End of the world beach up at the end of Route 100. That was great. That was the last time we were at the beach, because we've been gone from beaches for a while. Until we got down to Tampico, Miramar Beach. Pretty good. So it was Monday that I had to cut bear, and did. And it was a big deal for me to do that, but very good for me to do it. And that made it easier, made it a lot easier for me when Magic had picked up his bad habits and learned that he could defy me. And yesterday was a really tough escape from the Pemex station in Maria de la Torre. Maria de la Torre, on the outskirts of Maria de la Torre at the Pemmican Station. Luis was a good guy, sad guy, but a good guy, helped us out, gave me money, 200 pesos, to get coolant because my car was out of coolant. Angel, a Mexican, very sharp Mexican cowboy named Angel. The good thing he did for me was to push me down into the Pemmican Station off the road. The bad thing he did for me was I was so enamored of him and so grateful to him that I allowed him to push me into spending my last 160 pesos on gas, even though I knew gas was not going to help. Yeah, it did not help. And it did need coolant, and we saw that finally, that it was way over on the red. So when Luis yesterday gave me 200 pesos to go get coolant, it was only 16 pesos, but I got a second one because it wasn't quite full yet. So that was 32 pesos, and I stopped at the Oxxo and priced backup kibble for Magic was going to be 135 pesos. Somehow I think the kid at the Bardol place had given me the wrong change. And I have a bad habit in Mexico of not counting my change. So it turned out I was shorted, and I negotiated with Luis that he said that I would use 135 pesos to get kibble when I went over to the Oxxo station. And the writing was on the wall about Magic already, because he wouldn't go the whole way with me. He still was wanting to stay in the shade. So it turned out I didn't have the 135 pesos to get the kibble, which is a good thing because I ended up with it in my pocket the little bit that it was. And we took off, and it was super hot, and Luis gave me all kinds of shit about I shouldn't have gotten the small coolant. I should go back there and return. I said, not in this heat, no. So I did hold my boundary with him. No, I'm not doing that. So we took off, and the car was stalling. And whenever it would stall, I'd let Magic out of the car, but he would disappear, and I couldn't find him again. And so when it was time, when the car would start, and we had to quick get going, Magic would not come out. So I took off and made him chase me about a half a mile. And he did, but when he saw where he was, he still didn't want to get in the car. And I said, fuck you. I'm not leaving you yet, but I'm going to push the fuck out of you. If you want to stay with me, you've got to run. So I made him run 2, maybe 3 miles, and he didn't. He didn't show up. I gave him an hour to show up. I dozed a little. It was 90 minutes. He had not shown up. Did he just not bother? Did he get hit on the road? Did he have a heart attack from running in the heat? I'll never know. I will never know, and I have to live with that. Because today what I'm realizing is that lots of things are easier, even without Magic. And even though for 3 years I've been saying that having a dog is what keeps me sane, it's company, and it requires me to factor in another being. But you know, at this point, I don't need to factor in another being. No, I'm better off not factoring in another being. I'm better off doing what Spirit tells me to do. And God only knows what's going to happen for these 2 weeks, how far we're going to get. We've only got a quarter of a tank of gas. I'm excited about getting to Veracruz on my own. And it won't be for a couple weeks. And I don't know if I'm going to get going here. This is a bad spot to be stopped. I would just as soon break down in a town with a beach. But my GPS isn't working today at all. It was working a little bit yesterday. It's not working today at all. So I don't know where I'm at. And I don't care. I feel pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good today. I just going to do what I do. Just do what I do on my own. And it's all right with me. I think it's a good time to be alone. And I don't have to get back to Lee and Ruth and Dennis and I'm going to drop them because they don't get who I am. Come on, who are you kidding?